So networking, it's honestly kind of a funny idea, this process of building relationships or the action of interacting with other people in order to make connections that may be important for you, either socially or professionally in the future. And so if it seems awkward, well, it's because it is, whether it's in your native language Turkish or you're trying to network in English, it's just something that feels a little bit difficult. What I'd like to do today is just give you a few tips for networking in English so that you can feel a little bit more confident and comfortable and develop a little bit of an edge as you enter into these environments where you're speaking your second language in networking environments. So the first thing I'm going to encourage you to do is to practice introducing yourself. I know it sounds crazy. Of course, you know how to say, "Hi, my name is Amy," and put your hand out. But for some reason, when it's a second language and it's in one of those environments where the room is very full of people, maybe you're at a conference or a hotel or some kind of event, and you're having to take a step out to meet new people, even just feeling uncomfortable introducing yourself can be a barrier. And so I'm going to encourage you to practice introducing yourself. So when you're on your morning commute in your car, you're at home, whatever, just practice putting that hand out and saying, "Hi, my name is, how are you today?" And practice getting comfortable saying that. The next thing I'm going to ask you to do is to come up with a few good questions that you can ask people, because in the end, here's the deal. People want to feel known. So whether it's the CEO of your company or some kind of socialite, like very social, important social person that you'd like to get to know, people want to feel known and they want to feel important to you. So why don't you come up with a list of questions that you can ask people to get to know them better? And if you remember the answer to those questions and you return to those the next time you see that person, then they're going to be more likely to remember you. So for example, maybe you meet the CFO of your company when you're attending a conference in the Netherlands, and you ask him if he has any kids. And he's like, "Oh yes, I have 2 kids. One is 12 and one is 7. And you say, "Oh, I have a kid who's 12 too." And you make that connection. And the next time you see him, you say, "Hey, how's your 12-year-old son doing?" Then suddenly you are not a business colleague from a distance. You're one of his friends that he shares a common bond with. So I really encourage you to come up with some questions that you can ask people, and then to practice asking those questions. You want them to feel very natural coming out of your mouth. I have been learning Turkish for several years, and there are things in my mind that come really easily, but then when I get into a social environment and I have to ask this very simple question, I can kind of get shy just because I'm not in practice. So I really encourage you to practice asking these questions. Another thing that's so important that I've already mentioned before is remembering information. So remembering names and then remembering information that you learned from that person in your first meeting. And so the next time that you have a big corporate meeting and you walk into a room, you walk up to someone and you say, "Hey, you're John, right? Do you mind if I sit here?" And it's going to mean a lot to them that you remember their name or that you remember details about their lives. And we all know those people who kind of, in English, we would call them slick, and they walk into a room and they kind of work the room and they talk to everyone, but no one feels valued by that person. What you can do to be a great network is to show value to every person that you interact with. And a huge part of that is remembering their names and remembering the details of their lives that they like to share with you. The last thing that I want to encourage you to do to become a better networker is to practice initiating with people in lower pressure environments in English. And so maybe one day you're going to a coffee shop and just say to the person in English, "Excuse me, are you using this chair?" Or "Excuse me, do you mind if I sit here?" really initiating in networking environments is 90% of the battle, especially when you're doing it in a foreign language. And so you need to become more confident initiating with other people. And what I mean by that is just taking that first step of communication to engage with another person in conversation. And so I would just encourage you to use your English, even when you're in Turkey. It's okay. It's especially in Istanbul, it's such an international city and it's common for people to speak English. Just practice using your English to initiate some sort of a conversation. So those are just a few tips on how to become a better networker. And just remember, really the most important thing, practice, and then learning to ask good questions that show value to the people that you're interacting with. Thanks so much for watching. Are you ready to speak more like a native English speaker? Subscribe to our YouTube channel today and visit fenerenglish.com to learn more about how we can help you achieve your fluency goals.